Only the Bulls, only the Bulls, only the one and only Chicago Bulls.
Doom doom ba doom doom ba doom 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 ba doom 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 ba doom ba boom ba doom 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 ba.
Who can set the court on fire?
Hey, boys and girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Running with the Bulls podcast. Adam and Josh at it again. Josh, we've been talking about it. We've been waiting for things to happen. It's been a while since we recorded. Today's episode, I'd like to name Rumors after the Fleetwood Mac album, which is one of my favorites. But also, that's all we have to talk about today because there's not a lot of actual news. There are a lot of rumors. They're starting to get interesting enough where we felt like it was time to record. Here we are.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, the most recent signing was basically CP3 going back to the Clippers. I thought that was a nice addition for them, and we'll talk about the Clippers in a little bit. But, I think, there's a lot going on, and we're kind of I think there's that movie, All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yeah.
I think it's all quiet on the Eastern Front right now because the Bulls are in the Eastern Conference. It's kind of where we are.
Front or whatever, yeah, not a lot happening in the Windy City, but the rumor winds do swirl. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about the Josh Giddey situation, and coming out of that, we're going to talk about the Jonathan Kumminga rumors, which are once again heating up, but some new names tied into it this time. And then we're going to close out the show talking about some of the best teams in the East, some of the best teams in the West, just after some of the dust has settled, where it looks like right now. Spoiler alert, the West is much better than the East. Shocker. But let's start right back here at home, Josh. Giddey. What a situation. You and I have talked on and off the pod at different times. At times you said you really like how the front office is handling it, kind of playing some hardball. At other times you're saying, come on, you idiots, get the deal done. How do you feel about it right now?
Well, I feel like now that I've heard what the reports are saying, it makes sense why they're playing hardball. Am I happy that they're playing big, major hardball right now? I just want to see them get a deal done and resolved. I understand why they're doing what they are, but you're really running the danger of him giving you the middle finger and saying, I'm going to take a qualifying offer, go into unrestricted free agency, and then you're never going to see me again. And I'm worried about that, and I think that that's something that we as Bulls fans, I don't want to see that, and it's just, it's tricky. It's a tricky situation because you want to get the right deal if you're Jerry Reinsdorf and the organization. You don't want to overpay, and I don't think the Bulls are going to overpay him. I don't think so. Giddey wants 30. The Bulls are asking for 20 million. Just come in the middle. You're $5 million.
That's where it's headed. I think that it's kind of a staring contest at this point. Just my read on the situation based on the reports.
That's what I see too. Yeah. And it's just, I don't want there to be bad blood between these two to the point where we lose Josh Giddey for nothing because he basically said, you know what? You wouldn't give me the money I wanted. I know somebody out there will give me the money. Now, here's the problem. This is part of the issue with the new first apron and second apron. No one's got money to sign anybody.
And that's exactly, I was just going to say, I could see a world where maybe the Bulls at some point were willing to do 30. And then maybe Giddey's like, sweet, love the offer, but I'm going to just kind of see if I get in any other bites. And then he didn't. And then maybe the Bulls were like, well, your value went down. We're offering you less. Like there's different things that could be at play here where the Bulls now have more leverage because Giddey didn't have the kind of market he expected. Like you said, a lot of that has to do with the second apron and responsible teams who are trying to win and trying to get, because like wherever Giddey goes, whether he's going to be in a Bulls uniform or somewhere else, he's likely to be on a multi-year deal and the starting point guard. and somebody that you're legitimately, whether he is the player you're building around or an important building block, someone you're building with. And so it's not going to make sense for anybody in the second apron to give him the kind of money he is asking for.
They can't.
I mean,
Simple as
it would take a very special situation, but I
if you
like
get
that.
into the second apron, you're forfeiting your first round pick, I think, at this point.
So the rules are ridiculous. Like I did a deep dive the other week. We watched a video. It's very complicated. If you're curious about the second apron, go do your homework. Like because it is complicated.
We've done our homework. We don't want to have to go through it again. We already went through enough homework. It was called college. It was called high school. It's called middle school.
Do it yourself. But what people do need to know is that to really make it simple, it makes it very hard to spend. Basically, it makes it, I think the idea here is to restore competitive balance in the NBA, and get away from some of the super teams and the gross teams where it was just like just your stomach turning because DeMarcus Cousins just signed with the Warriors to play with.
Well, I think he signed on a vet minimum deal or something, or like
I think he actually did, but you know what I mean? Where all of a sudden, like some team has, like, their starting five is like all top five at their position. Obviously, Cousins was
We've
hurt.
only really seen that in the 2018-19 Warriors.
No, it's starting to go away. It's starting to go away, and I'm happy about that. And the second apron makes it where it can't really, like, if somebody is going to have a super duper team, if there's going to be like a Heatles type team again, there's going to be some dudes making some serious sacrifices on and not getting the max. But Josh Giddey, I'm cool with, like, if the Bulls did wind up going up as high as 30, but I'm really rooting for 25 because I think that the most important thing they can do is have value at every roster spot. What's the thing we've complained about? It's like, geez, bad contract. That's a bad contract. The Bulls have done a lot of important legwork to make things better. And I think they're quietly having a pretty, albeit quiet, pretty good offseason. I think that the Bulls are setting themselves up more for the future, even with Asenge, that people are saying, oh, this guy's so raw. Well, wait a minute. Yes, he is. He had some good games in Summer League too, but yes, he is raw. And you can almost use this guy like a farm system piece. Let him play on Windy City and just get better. And you basically wait and don't, because if the Bulls got somebody who makes them right better immediately, it's going to jack up their win total potentially. So if the Bulls are really trying to consider the future, to take the approach where you're trying to develop the 18-year-old with the 22-year-old and the 23-year-old, or however old Kobe is, maybe 24, 25, but you have these guys who are going to come in, and Bezelis, of course, who you can kind of like look at 4 years down the line and maybe a core starting to come together. Like it's starting to get pretty interesting. But if you start overpaying these guys, then you're going to pay through the nose later when you're looking for the finishing pieces to building a legitimate team that can be top four in the East.
Here's what scares me. How many times has Jerry Reinsdorf paid the luxury tax?
0, I believe, right?
So what makes you think he's going to go into the first apron to do anything for this team?
Well, I think that
if you can get a team that, let's say you go and you don't have a team in the first apron, but it wins, let's say by some miracle next year the Bulls win 50 games. Let's just say hypothetically they somehow do. Is he willing to, go get that next piece that puts them over the top, that puts you in the first apron? I don't think he's going to be willing to do that. And I think that's what separates him from being a real owner and a Fugazi, whatever you want to call it. Just, you know what I mean?
I feel like,
giving a fairy tale.
He's never going to be Steve Ballmer, but basically,
here's the thing with Steve Ballmer. The Clippers have the fourth longest winning streak in NBA history for a team. They have 14 straight winning seasons. So I would love if he could be Steve Ballmer. He's not going to be.
What I mean by that is you're not allowed to be
straight winning seasons. The Clippers.
You're not allowed to be Steve Ballmer anymore with the second apron.
That's true.
He spends and spends and spends and spends and spends, and the new regulations make it where you just can't play that game anymore.
Well, you can spend, you have to just spend smartly. That's the difference.
You
I mean,
you can't
guys
just
have to
try
take
to
pay
be the
cuts.
Yankees and
Like,
pay
if
all
you
that
want to
luxury
win, you
tax.
got to take pay cuts like James Harden did, and you've got to be willing to make sacrifices financially as some of the best players if you want to do that. Like the Thunder, let's face it, the Thunder in a few years, they're going to have some serious issues because you can't pay Shea 70 million, you can't pay Holmgren 50, and you can't have $170 million tied into 3 players.
Yeah, and that's a team that is going to definitely have some decisions to make. But yeah, like basically when you start to consider all these roster building restrictions, limitation on trades, free agency signings, like you mentioned, the ability to take away a future draft pick, it basically, like, if you overspend, you hit this glass ceiling anyway, or like this ceiling anywhere. You really can't. At some point, you're hurting yourself more than you're helping yourself. Weirdly enough, that evens the playing field for a guy like Jerry Reinsdorf, who historically doesn't like to spend, because it's going to force other teams around the league to play a game that the Bulls have already been playing. Where the Bulls need to get the Giddey situation right is they need to get him for the best possible value. And then from there, every contract is eventually Vucevic isn't going to be a Chicago Bull anymore, whether it's this
No, he's
season
not going to be here after
or
this.
2 years. Eventually, he's going to be off the books. And by the time that Josh Giddey and Matas Buzelis are trying to actually make some noise, Vucevic probably going to be retired. And so it's okay if you have him on the books.
I could see Vooch retiring after this contract, but here's the thing. If you're putting up the numbers he is at his age, why would you retire? You could still help a team. The only thing is if the market isn't there for him, then I would, if I'm Vucevic, I'm like, I'm not a backup in this league. I'm still a starter in this league. Maybe not for a serious contender, but like I can go to Golden State for like $10 million and I can still dominate. Vucevic had the best year of his career since joining the Bulls, besides his first year here. He averaged 18 and a half, 10 rebounds. He shot a career high from 3. He shot a career high from the field as well. And he shot 53, 40, and 80. And I mean, he's not the best defender, but he also had 3.5 assists a game. Like he's a solid passer as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there if you're Vucevic that you really want to,
Honestly, if you're the Bulls at this point, like I'd rather keep Vucevic than lose him for under market value or get him for some sort of contract I don't want to be involved in or get into a tricky financial situation in any way. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with having Vucevic be your starting center next season because he's good. He has a very reasonable contract and he's a good older mentor, a good accomplished player for some of these younger players. Like it's not like he's getting paid $50 million a year. It's like 20.
He's got a very, 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 very reasonable contract for
what he does. It's a great bargain. I think it's a great contract and the right team. You mentioned the Warriors would make a lot of sense. Like the Celtics could make a lot of sense.
Celtics would make a lot of sense once he's a free agent. Yes.
Yeah. Because, there's who's even the big man there? Robert Parrish is bringing back the Chief. What's going on? Because Porzingis is gone. Is Horford still in the NBA? Did he retire? Did he not retire?
Dave Cowens.
Dave Cowens? Yeah. I mean, they're going to have to start getting Lucky the Leprechaun and some.
I heard they signed Dalibor Bogaric to play a few minutes.
Dalibor Bogaric. All right, drink. That's the running with the Bulls drinking game. If we mention Dalibor, because he gets brought up every now and then. Hey, this is a great opportunity to transition into some rumors because we're talking about Vucevic, talking
Yeah.
about Giddey. Something that's connected to both is the rumors that the Golden State Warriors are interested in Ayo Dosunmu, and Jonathan Kumminga is interested in being a Chicago Bull. And it seems like these two teams have been trying to work out some sort of maybe a sign and trade. It seems like there's optimism, but before we get too excited about it, let's just get the bad news out of the way. It would be tough to pull off. The math is actually like really tricky. The first thing that has to happen would be the Bulls need to get Josh Giddey locked up, finish the food on your plate, then go in. But once Josh Giddey is locked up, then the Bulls are flexible enough to actually look at whether it's Jonathan Kumminga or a different power forward center if Vuce does get moved, but a different big.
I don't think Vooch is getting moved. I don't think the market's there.
I don't think so either. But I think Kuminga could go to the Bulls. But before that happens, they got to take care of Giddey. Meanwhile, there needs to be a signing with Golden State that the Bulls can then take over that money.
So folks, just so you know, the way that this works in a sign and trade with a restricted free agent now, whatever you trade, let's say Kuminga gets 25 million. Technically, only half of that counts as a salary towards Golden State. So they would only be able to take back it's really strange the way it is. So the reason Vucevic can't really be traded to Golden State is because they would have to trade another $8 million worth of salary to the Bull, I think the Bulls would have, the Warriors have to trade another $8 million in salary for it to line up. Because if Kuminga gets 25 million, then what they get, then it only counts as like half of whatever he gets paid towards their cap. So everything has to work financially. So the only real players that they can really trade would be like Javon Carter and Ayo Dosunmu in a package deal. That would basically be what the trade is. And maybe a future first-round pick, which I dare say I am worried the Chicago Bulls are going to trade a future first-round pick for Jonathan Kumminga, and I do not want that.
I do not think that's going to happen.
I hope I'm wrong, but
I think you're wrong.
maybe like
I hope you're wrong too.
It might be a pick swap. It might be a lottery protected pick that's highly, highly, highly protected, like 1 through 20. It might be something like that where it turns into a second-round pick. And if it's a second-round pick, okay, fine. I'm not going to get that mad about it. But I worry about that. Just with this front office, sometimes I get worried about stuff like that.
Kevin Herter could be a guy, especially because he's coming off I believe he's not on an expiring deal.
He's getting paid 6.5. So, and then Ayo gets about 7.5. So that's combined 14. And then if you pay Kuminga 25, I mean, there's $1.5 million that you have to figure out. But I think that would be fine in the NBA financial world. I think it would.
Yeah, you can figure out $1.5 million. I think that it would be very interesting if this happens. But there's just so many moving parts and things that need to happen. Like Kuminga needs to come to terms. Giddey needs to come to terms. And both of these negotiations are in very similar places where the player didn't get the kind of value that maybe they anticipated. The team doesn't want to,
I think we can
just
both
have
agree
him
that
walk.
that Golden State doesn't want Kuminga back. I think we can agree on that. I don't think.
Right. And I think that the Bulls.
But they'll come up with the resolution.
Yeah, because it would be bittersweet to lose like Ayo Dosunmu. I only want to lose Ayo Dosunmu if it means
trade
getting
him for
the right
guy. If you could listen, I love Ayo. He's a Chicago-born guy. He went to Morgan Park, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, he did.
Went to Morgan Park. You love to see guys who come from Chicago develop into their very own, especially playing on the Bulls. But this is a business, and Ayo's going to cost 14, 15, could cost 12 to 15 million next year as a role player, and I don't know if the Bulls want to pay that. So if you can get Jonathan Kumminga for him, I'm okay with that. Ayo's a role player. Kuminga's a role player, but Kuminga's more of a starter than Io is.
Well, Domingo, I think he is a better player, and I think he's just like what the Bulls need. The Bulls need forwards.
Right.
Like
So
last year, it was like we'd see these rotations where it was like Giddey, Io, Kobe, Lonzo, and Vucevic. And while Lonzo's 6'6" and can board, Giddey's 6'8" and can board. Io's capable of playing bigger than his stature. I believe he's like 6'5", like Kobe's like 6'5". Like you're not like tiny, but these are all dudes who are essentially combo guards or point guards, and that's not going to cut it. You're not strong enough, even if you're tall enough, you're not strong enough. You're not big enough. Like who made it to the finals? Like who are the 4 final teams standing? And one of the things they all had in common, good big men.
Yeah, it's true.
Like the Pacers, you could say, had the worst big men of the teams. Like
Miles Turner is a very reliable.
Miles Turner's solid, and Siakam's solid, but like he's not, like Jokic.
Not a center.
Yeah, Cat, Hartenstein, Chet. Like there were some really good. I don't know. Siakam's damn good too. I don't want to. No disrespect to him, but you're not going to ever do anything special if like it's a bunch of guards and then a center. Like the Bulls need to balance out the roster. We've been talking about for a long time, and so I think that allows them to play more versatile basketball. I think he'd just be such a great fit with how athletic he is. I just imagine like him and Giddey getting up and down the floor together, and then when you start to consider what that could look like with Bazelis, and I am interested. We're going to see what happens with Essengate, because like that first G League game, or not G League, Summer League game, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But then he really got it together. Then he had some good games. I'm like, okay, because I was looking at you, and you looked like James Woods from the animated Hercules movie. Your hair was on fire. You were so mad. You were ready to ship him back to France. Say, hey, thanks for the Statue of Liberty. You can take this guy back, though.
I mean, it is what it is, man.
We didn't do a ton of talk after the draft. How are you feeling about him right now? Now that you've seen him,
Noah, you mean Essenge?
Yeah.
I can't take away that much from Summer League. I really can't.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I took away a little bit from Matas Buzelis last year. I thought, oh, he's got some promise, but he's skinny. And he's going to get worked in the league. He's going to get worked when he plays. And I remember when he played against Memphis, and he couldn't even get around a screen because he would just get shoved so hard when he'd work around a screen. It took him a while to figure out how to work that and, play his style. But, we saw them pick a project. His name is Patrick Williams. It didn't work out. I'm very worried about this being similar. He's not a good shooter. And I'm just hoping that this can turn into something good. And I'm going to stay, I am going to stay positive about this. It's hard for me to trust a front office that hasn't really given you that much to be happy about in the last.
You've been hurt. You've been hurt. Yeah. Here's.
I thought dating was rough. Front office is rougher.
Yeah. No, being a Bulls fan, it's just so crazy because like, what year were you born? If we can play this game,
96.
So you were born in 96. I was born in 91, and like the Bulls won 5 championships while I was alive.
I got to see 3 theoretically, but I was a baby, so I didn't really see it.
But like, you probably remember very early childhood memories of just like being in the living room and the Bulls are on.
No, my childhood memory is I'm sitting in 5th row. And this is, I believe, a friend of ours gave us tickets for that game because we didn't have the tickets for our game. And Brad Miller's running away from Shaq because he's about to get punched.
Oh my God, you were at that game?
I was at that game. That was my 6th birthday present.
So like I've seen, family videos, and I've also, grandpa. Oh, that's That I remember that watching that game on TV, and I'm like, this what? I'm like, he's gonna die. Brett Miller's gonna die. Shaq's gonna kill him.
The crazy part about that Bulls season, they won 21 games and they beat the Lakers twice. The
Beating
Lakers
Phil
won,
Jackson.
the NBA champs got beat by Bill Cartwright's Chicago Bulls twice. That's just bizarre.
Cartwright knew how to handle the Zen Master, maybe. He was
No,
probably
I think he knew how to beat the triangle. He did.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, for me, like I remember the Bulls dynasty, but like not the details. I remember like my favorite player was Steve Kerr when I was in kindergarten. I remember crying when Tony Kukoc got traded. I remember the night the Bulls won their 6th championship. I've seen some great home videos from the 93 and the 96 championship, like family home videos. Great stuff where like my dad and I are watching the Bulls Sonics, the Father's Day game, so cool stuff like that. But like they have not, like we're in a tough era, like it's been more heartbreak than anything. Like Derrick Rose, we finally get back, and now it has been tough.
Out of it.
We like the Bulls have gotten as far as the conference finals once since we were intelligible.
And this team has milked that one conference finals and the 6 championships ever since. And you can't do that.
But that's how we do it in Chicago.
At one point,
85 Bears. Whoop. The rest of the NFL's like, you've never had a 4,000-yard passer. And we're like,
I actually think that changes. Okay, relax. I think that changes this year.
I think so.
Changes this year with the quarterback. I think it does. That's
let's get out of the rabbit hole. Okay. I want to say 2 things before we move on to the final topic. One, I don't think Kobe's going anywhere.
No, I don't think he is. The question is, can they re-sign him? And I don't. Once you sign Kumminga, so here's the thing. Once Vucevic is off the books, you're going to have enough money to technically sign Kobe. Because that extra $20 million will go towards Kobe's contract.
Plus bird rights. You're going to have bird rights on Kobe.
And you're going to have bird rights. So I could see them re-signing Kobe for sure. It's just the question is, does that move the needle for you in an Eastern Conference that, it's getting weaker for this year, but is it going to be really that much weaker going forward?
3 years. It's going to be contingent on who Matas Buzelis turns into.
That's true.
Because like Kobe White could develop into a really good, like I could see a world like, remember when the Bucks won the championship and like Chris Middleton was their best go score for me guy a lot of times. Giannis was obviously the best player. Giannis could step through.
Middleton was the guy who said, "Okay, if I need a bucket in the 4th quarter, I need a jumper that's contested."
Yeah. Go make a tough jump shot. Go give us a 3. Go make a big shot. Like Kobe can absolutely be a guy, like on a championship team that's like maybe their best scorer. I'm talking about when Kobe's like in his prime, but like he can't be the best player. Like there could be a future where Matas Buzelis is the best player on the Bulls. Josh Giddey is the 2nd best player on the Bulls. Jonathan Kumminga and Kobe White are like tied for the next best player. Very different players. One's the forward kind of, hopefully he develops more of a 3-point shot when the Bulls are winning their 2nd, 3-peat or whatever it is with Kumminga. But you know what I mean? Like Kobe White can develop into a really important role player who can be the best shooter on a team. He shouldn't be the best player on a championship team. So I think it's worth it, especially like they drafted him, they've developed him. I think right now, if I'm Kobe White, I'm looking at the situation. I'm like, okay, this team's like ready to invest in me. And I'm coming off the best stretch of my career. Let me earn this bag. I think Kobe's going to have a really good season.
I think Kobe is getting close to earning his bag. He's not worth the max contract. He's not going to get one. He's not worth it. If he drops 25 a game, he might get something like that. He'll probably get 30. He'll probably get 30 a year plus bird rights.
And that could be interesting. And then the other thing I want to say, Patrick Williams. We've talked about trading him. here's the
There's no way
reality
to
of it.
trade him. He has no trade value.
He doesn't have the value. The Bulls' best bet is to simply try to double down and develop the hell out of this guy.
Yeah.
And because we've seen it in glimpses, like Patrick Williams, when he's on, like when Patrick Williams is aggressive, especially on defense, he is a terror defensively. He gets way up. He's a good shot blocker. He's disruptive in passing lanes. He's a switchable defender. The offense was really inconsistent. But if I'm the Bulls, I'm saying, okay, you're going to be a dude who is going to be a really important 3-and-D bench piece. And you're also going to be someone we use on the Luka Doncic's of the world. And, the James Hardens. Go guard the other team's best player. Go put him on Anthony Edwards, and maybe not for the whole game, but he needs to be a really important piece defensively. But no, the value's not there. And the key word of the whole show today, I feel like the theme is value. Get good value. So, okay, the contract's not working through the first year of the extension. Well, what can you do about it? Make him better. Develop him. Double down. No excuses. Levine's gone. This is the offseason where Patrick Williams needs to take some big boy steps and earn some respect back, earn some love back from the fan base. Because I think it's too early in the grand scheme of things to say that he can't turn it around and be a really good NBA basketball player. I think that can absolutely still happen. He had a pretty rough year. But on his career, he's shot around 40% from three. He's been a really good defender, and he's still pretty young. And so that is why the approach must be keep him and try to get your money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, I think you've got a decent young core and just go with what you can with it. So
he's going to be 24 by the time the season starts.
Right.
Plenty of time to get better. Doesn't have to be the best player on your team. Just make him a good player. All right. So talking top 4 in the East, top 4 in the West. Let's save the best for last, which means we talk about the East first. Josh, hit me.
So how hard? I'm not going to make a particular order on this. I don't, there's no reason. So I think 5th will be a tie. I would
we
have
said we're going to do 5, right? Sorry.
I would say I'm not going to go tie. I think right now it's pretty obvious. The Knicks, I think that's fair. I think you go with the Cavs. I think you go with the Magic. And then I got to be honest, it gets kind of Atlanta. I'd probably say Atlanta. And dare I say 5th is the Detroit Pistons right now.
Interesting.
I'd probably say 5th is Detroit. You could say Boston. You could say Milwaukee. But I think I think 5th will probably be the Pistons in that 5. And then for the West, I would have the Nuggets, the Clippers, the Thunder, the Rockets, and then I would probably go with the Dallas Mavericks. I think that I don't know. I think Dallas is going to have something to say next year. I really do.
Give me that all consecutively. So who's your top 5 in the East?
In the East, no particular order. I'm going to say coming out of the Atlantic, it'll be the New York Knicks. We'll have 2 Central teams, the Pistons and the Cavs. And then I think you'll have 2 Southeast teams in the Hawks and the Magic. I think that rounds out your top 5. I think the Magic are going to really make a leap after going 41-41. I think Atlanta's going to make a leap because they have – who knows what Trae Young's going to be after this season. I think he'll stay because I just think he'll stay. And then in the West, I think you got 2 teams clearly, the Nuggets and the Thunder from the Northwest. I think in the Pacific, you're going to have the Clippers. I don't think the Lakers are going to be in the top 5 again. I don't think so. I think they'll be 6th or 7th. And then I would probably say the Rockets. And then after that, it gets I maybe Dallas. I mean, it gets murky after that for the 5th pick. I think the top 4 is pretty simple. I think 5th, you get a little murky after that. You could say Timberwolves. You could say the Lakers. But I think it's between those 3 teams right there.
My top 5 in the East, and I'm just going to go in order. The order is more likely to change than not anyway, but the best team in the East is the Cavs. Second best team in the East is the Knicks. It gets really interesting at 3. I am, golly, I feel like
You're gonna say Boston, aren't you?
I kind of want to say Boston.
They have no front court. It's an abyss in the front court.
Man,
Their
I mean,
front court is worse than my handwriting right now. Okay,
they still have good players.
and you've seen my handwriting.
I don't, I not long enough to remember, but
What is it's terrible.
Yeah, it's tough to go with Boston. I mean, I love Derek White. I think that
listen, they have a great backcourt. They do, but they're trying to trade Anthony Simons.
But no, I can't put Boston in there. No. So I am going to have the same top 3 as you, where I'm going to go Orlando is my 3rd. And then, Atlanta got a ton better this offseason. I'm really interested to see if Porzingis can be healthy, just because like this team is so long. So
even if Porzingis is not fully healthy, with Okongwu, they're going to be so good with Okongwu, even as their starting center. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Now, and then, it really gets interesting after that. I mean, I think that you could make a case for the Raptors. You can make a case for the Heat. You can make a case for the Celtics. Make a case for the Sixers. Make a case for the Pistons.
The Sixers,
I think, could be interesting, man.
No.
I really like BJ.
I don't even think Joel Embiid's going to play 20 games next year.
Okay, let's say worst case scenario, Joel Embiid hardly plays and Paul George hardly plays. Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe and that other young guy, Jared McCain.
Yeah,
those are 3 really good young players.
They'll still have some talent. Don't get me wrong, and they might have Quentin Grimes as well. But you need Joel Embiid and Paul George, man. You do.
And that's where the upside comes in, if those guys are healthy. In the West, I have, it's I don't know if I can go in order in this one, but right now, I think that I'm going to give, just because they won the championship, I'm going to give the champs the respect. My number 1 is OKC. Number 2 right now is actually the Denver Nuggets, who we're going to have to talk about on a longer, when we get a little bit more time in the future episode. Still interested to see if they maybe one more move, but absolutely love what they've done to surround with Jokic with the perfect cast of players. They are now a very good defensive team, one of the best defensive teams in the league after being one of the worst defensive teams. I think they're going to be able to play better basketball, and cleaner basketball, and pass better, and just be a little bit more consistent and less ball dominant than Kevin Durant and the Rockets, who are also going to be super duper good.
Okay, and who could be at 3, 4, and 5?
The 3, 4, and 5. Gosh.
Who's got the pride, the glory to keep the dream alive?
So, who's my now I'm fresh. Who is my top 3? I said the Nuggets and the Rockets. I said.
Who can fly through the air? Who can get them off their feet?
Clippers
Who can always snatch a victory from the jaws of defeat? Who can play the toughest defense? Shatter the score. Get Chicago up and rocking. Crying out for more. Only the Bulls. Only the one and only Chicago.
That's all the time we got, folks. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. Go Bulls!
Yeah. Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls.